as we move over to our next presenter, ladies and gentlemen, who is the head of digital consulting in Norway for TietoEVRY. His name, let me introduce him to you, is Kåre Nygård, and his biggest passion is to help develop people in their careers. In his current role as head of digital consulting at TietoEVRY, he has the opportunity to influence thousands of people's careers, both directly and indirectly, a responsibility that Kåre takes very, very seriously indeed, because he and his organization have a very positive culture to value trust, diversity, respect, and take it all very, very seriously indeed. It's fully inclusive. His presentation for us, let me not steal too much of his time, we will have questions at the end of this, is fostering the learning culture for business and growth. Kåre, an absolute pleasure to see you joining us live from Norway. Welcome, sir, and the platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thanks for the nice introduction. So, yes, I'm Kåre Nygård, live in Norway with my wife and 4 kids, and as Michael said, I have the pleasure of leading about 1,000 top-notch consultants at TietoEVRY. And it's a really fun job in these days when learning is very high on the agenda, and that's my job #1, to make sure that we nurture that. And so thanks to Edith, which is a nice bridge over to my presentation. So let's see, I will talk to you about 3 things. Let me see. There we go. Getting control of the slides. I will give you a little bit more practical deep dive, bridging nicely from what Edith from Microsoft was just saying, touching on the learning culture and how that is good for both business and for the each one of us, the individuals, the consultants, and the employees alike. Now, I will start off with giving you some data points on the big picture, which is important to, in order to set the right direction, set the strategy. Now, that is not enough. So you need to dive into the culture part and find out how you're actually going to build a foundation to nurture what you need to do and develop the talents you need to excel as a business or corporation. Finally, I will give you some practical advice that you hopefully can take away and implement or be inspired by in your own jobs, roles. First off, getting the right picture. Now, taking my own company, TietoEVRY, as an example, we are a pretty big company in the Nordics, 24,000 employees, and we take pride of creating digital advantage for businesses and society, being the leading player in the Nordics for digital services, and being a knowledge-intensive company as we are, we really need to take learning and development of our people very, very seriously. So, and I will explain to you why, which is probably obvious to most these days. It's now all about digital, digital societies, digital enterprises, digital products, especially over the past couple of years with the pandemic, thanks to that, how much it means to us to actually be on top of things technology-wise and so forth. A daunting task, viewed as a curse, but also as an opportunity. I choose to look at it as a clear opportunity and stay abreast with the change and also be a role model for others in my same age group and older, younger. On actually, you can stay savvy when it comes to technology. So now outlook as we see it. I've used some data points from IDC, analyst firm, and on the left hand side you see the prediction on employment growth in Europe. In the ICT sector, information communication and technology, and it's all looking as we would expect. It's growing, and for the next foreseeable few years. On the right hand side, you see the lucky winner of who is have a very good job future ahead of them. So e-learners, developers, DevOps engineers on the call, and those listening, congratulations, you are pretty safe going forward, and many others too. There's a need for everyone, so it's a high demand for anyone who works in the digital sector, but also in other job roles. There's a shortage we see many places. Now, World Economic Forum, they point to a clear skill gap in the local labor market as the top factor that is, the barrier to adoption of new technologies. There is a clear skill gap, and I think Edith from Microsoft also alluded to that in his facts presentation. Now, with that take that as a given. What do you do about it, and how do you choose with the vast amount of learning opportunities that we do have? Now, the picture you see on this screen, this slide is from IDC again, and it just articulates or visualizes how much there is to use of tools to both plan the skills you need as a company or organization, and also where to go to actually consume a lot of the learning opportunities. So from a company perspective, organization perspective, it's crucial to choose the right thing. We can't do everything, and you need to have a plan for how to organize, and you need to set aside funding to invest in the right manner. And you can't please everyone, but it's a risk that you have if you're not conscious on the strategy and why you need things. You will waste both money and time, and frustrate probably many as well. So I think Gartner sums it up quite nicely with where they advocate that organizations, companies, they need to find the right balance between the what is good for the employee and what is good for the business. You need to have two thoughts in mind at the time, and I say employee first, consciously, because it starts with the most important assets, at least in my company, that's the employees. And we try to align that as well as we can to what we need to do to grow our business and be successful, because that's just a positive spiral that everyone wants to be in. Now, over to the talents and how to get the culture in place that truly embrace learning as a lifestyle. We all know that the past is not as the current and the future. The illustration you see here is
Kåre, sorry to interrupt you for just a moment. We're having, I believe, a technical difficulty on your sound quality. We are checking it. Okay. We're going to stay with your live presentation, sir. I do apologize if anyone's struggling to hear. The recording of this will be available afterwards, by the way, as well. But let's go back to you live, sir. Our technicians in Romania are working on this right now. Over to you again, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think we might just continue with that in a second or two, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for that. You know, the difficulties with broadcasting live around the world, we've got speakers coming in literally, as you have done, from all over the world as delegates. You know, as I say, I'm speaking to you live this morning from the UK. Our team running the event are running it live from the Netherlands. Our production quality people are running out of Bulgaria. And literally, Kåre is over in Norway this morning, as all of our presenters have been coming in and out from difficult parts of the world, or different parts of the world. So I guess this is one of the joys of live broadcast on the platform scenario. But let me remind you again, please don't worry about the break in transmission, because we will bring it to you recorded after the event anyway, and everything is all systems go for that. And just a reminder as well, I'm busy also checking out on my two screens the scenario with the speaker's corner and indeed the individual questions that you're asking our presenters. I will have time, hopefully, for questions with Kåre at the end of his presentation when we go back to it in a moment. And obviously, you've got the chance to chat with him as well. Can I suggest that while the speakers are around and on live, that you put your main questions to them into the speaker's corner main chat, and after they've spoken, just go back to their private speaker's corner rooms, which you'll see on the top right of your screens. I believe our sound problems are solved. Kåre, let me go back to you, sir. Forgive me for the interruption. Your stage, sir.
Thank you for that. I hope it works out okay for the rest. Now, you know, where we are today is it's a totally different era than the past, where there was enough to have a master's degree and live on that for the rest of your career until you retire. Now we are into a phase where we need to constantly learn. A master's 20 years ago is outdated. We need to embrace learning as a lifestyle, adopt as the because of the speed of change as one important factor. At TietoEVRY, to give you an example of how we do things, let's see, is the Michael, is the slide changing? It doesn't, yes, there we go. So at the TietoEVRY, we have a culture code. It talked about culture, eat, strategy for breakfast, and we take that to heart. We have a culture code of four dimensions. One of them is we have called keep learning, and that is driving the what we next slide, please. Yes, thank you. And here we have it's not enough to drive to define a culture, or you need to activate the culture. And one way of activating the culture, as we have done, is to look very holistically on it. And it's not sufficient to think about learning on taking a Azure Fundamentals or another course and so on. You learn all the time. You learn when you're in a job, in a project. You learn in social settings, and that's the mentality that we, as a company, try to adopt in all employees, in leadership, and all employees, and to be curious about what is out there and what do we need to actually adopt to stay ahead. Now, in addition to setting the culture up for success, to define the learning environment you want to have in place, it's also advisable to make some bold decisions, bold strategic decisions that influence the competence direction a company or organization takes. Now, in our example, we here you see Kimmo and the vice president at Microsoft for Western Europe, shaking hands after a deal signed to collaborate on building competence on Microsoft. And with that came a ambition to certified 3,000 Microsoft Azure consultants in our company. That's very successful so far, and it is continuing and providing benefits for the employees in a massive scale. So now I'll give you a few practical advice, examples from our company that I hope you can take away and be inspired by and maybe adopt in your own organization. First and foremost, the most important thing when we implement our learning culture is to connect the dots, to connect the strategy, the vision, the strategy with what's in it for me. So as an individual, why should I learn what, and what competence do I need? Do I understand the company's strategy? And to link that into concrete goals for learning or development that I can use to actually influence the next cycle of strategy in the company as an individual. So that's the loop we are trying to and working very hard on getting in place with the right tools, etc. So we're getting processes, tools, and so on in place, and that is proven to be very, very successful and useful. Now, that is not enough either. You need to make learning options easily available to all employees, and we do that in many ways, and one of which is to make it available in a portal. We use Cornerstone as a tool where we can collect all learning options in one place. So here in this picture, I show my own page where you can see the completions I have. I've had 23 hours of training over the past cycle. One batch I'm very proud of, and on the left, down left, you see the options, learning options I can go and pick and choose from in all sort of categories. So it's a feast of learning options, and which is great to us as employees. Now, that is not enough. You need to keep on pushing on promoting the learning opportunities. And we do that in many ways. And I've just inserted a couple of options or examples here, including that we provide tips for getting ready for exams, Azure exams, and so forth. We put up boot camps, and we do all sorts of things to nurture learning as a core piece of our culture. So, and I think Edith in the previous presentation also said that you need to celebrate achievements, recognize those who share their success stories. Here we use Workplace as a tool for communication and collaboration. And a lot of our consultants, employees, post, including myself, post their badges when they have passed their exams and are proud of it. And you get applause in the chat below, and it's it just creates a good feeling and strengthens the learning culture and experience. To start running off the effort our people, everyone does to train themselves, and it doesn't, you sacrifice some other things because you can spend time on many things, but so we're also very conscious of thanking everyone for the effort, like exemplified with the nice chat or post from our lead learning with the company Nora Silkenen, who posted this nice post with pictures of everyone who had spent time in the Keep Learning Week we just had a couple of weeks back, with a full stack program Monday through Friday, and it's a very enjoyable and enriching experience. Last but not least, the it's also smart to know or to show who you are as a company organization. We do that as one reason for doing that is to make yourself known, of course, and but also to take part of the societal need to build competence. So we promote what we do to both customers and future employees and colleagues as like to build pride and just show what we do and how seriously we take competence building in the company. So that is my coming into an ending, Michael, and so I hope you got some good takeaways from this. Just to sum up quickly, my key takeaway advice is to invest time to understand the whys and to link vision and strategy to what's in it for me, and the recognize that learning culture doesn't happen by itself. You need to work on it as you do with a marriage or a partnership or whatever. You need to work on it day after day. So with that, I'll round off with a nice quote from Peter Hinson, who I've gotten inspiration from the last cloud global skills tour in March, I think. If you're willing to learn, unlearn, and take radical new directions, you will find your day after tomorrow. So for everyone who is daunted with the vast opportunities and what to choose, don't worry. Be happy and pick your next training course or learning experience. So over to you, Michael.
Lovely, thank you, Kåre. And I just think that's amazing. And you've got to work at it like a marriage, as you say. We also had to work on the technology there as well, quite carefully. And thank you for taking that in your stride, sir. It's an absolute joy to work with a professional such as yourself. You handled that like an Oscar winner, just keeping on track and keeping going. And it does leave me time for a couple of quick questions with you as well. Just at that level, in terms of your topic, fostering that learning culture for business and growth. You see an awful lot of C-level executives in your role. Do you see a common denominator that the C-suite has on its agenda when it comes to fostering a learning culture? What are you finding going on in the world out there, sir?
Thanks for that. What I see, and in a lot of the C-level meetings I attend, I see a common denominator that everyone sees that there is a skill shortage. So what does that lead to? Well, it leads to building ecosystems with others. There's a clear recognition that no one can do everything. So it's somewhat easier to build good partnerships and build trust between someone you need to depend on for the future. So and I would also insert an ingredient of uncertainty. I think there's quite a bit of uncertainty, and also in the C-level suite and boardrooms. So they need advice from the those who have done it before or have the expertise to ensure a safe and good digital transformation that many go through. So, but there's clearly an uncertainty looming in the boardrooms these days.
It's interesting as well, actually. I was looking into the speaker lounge, and a question that Dimitar Zarabsky asked Edip, our previous presenter, is a question I'd like to put to you as well, if I may. Edip gave his answer, but in your opinion, said Dimitar, what speeds up the transition to a growth mindset very quickly?
I would point to the one thing is what we have just behind us with the or in the midst of rounding off the pandemic. That's has made a huge impact in embracing technology that make us all a little bit more digital savvy. But I think the to set the culture right but that is not enough. You need to set up the right processes, the structures to make it available, and think through how each individual can then take on a day by day and learning opportunities. So it comes down to the practical execution. So it's all in the execution and the culture that you as a leadership and a company are able to embrace.
I love that. Thank you. So, Dimitar, you've had a couple of questions answered now in a very good way. We've got time for a quick final question, Kåre, if I may. I'd like to ask you, because it's just a personal intrigue for me, what is your own favorite way of learning?
Well, thanks for that. My own favorite way of learning is actually from my colleagues. I sit in many meetings and I meet people both digitally and so, but I always learn something from my colleagues. So that is, and also from customers, being in customer meetings and serving those we are committed to. You know, there's a lot of learning in that. Now that aside, I am fond of the new learning platforms, and so I'm on top of Coursera, edX, Udemy, Udacity, use LinkedIn Learning for as well, and I've recently taken my Azure Fundamentals certification on MS Learn. So I'm very much in favor of the new learning platforms that have just exploded in content and quality over the past few years. And when I'm not doing that, I put on an Audible book and listen to maybe something else than just business related. But that is good for your mindset too.
A man who's glued to his technology. It remains for me to thank you enormously, Sarah, on behalf of everyone watching. An absolutely outstanding presentation as well. The standard this morning has just been remarkable. So thank you so much for doing what you did for us this morning. And obviously, you're going to move over to the speaker room now as well, in case anyone wants to ask you a direct question on the speaker room platform. Or you can also go into your private chat room, which is available for you should anyone want a private chat, although I would imagine most of them can keep it in the public domain. You never know. So it's one of those crazy things. But thank you, sir. And we are running perfectly to time. So thank you very much indeed.